At first glance, Fantasy Island looks like a typical seaside attraction. When you look a little closer, it has some of the tallest and most intense coasters in the country, dark rides, family attractions, and a unique indoor area. So is Fantasy Island actually one of the UK's hidden gems? Let's find out. Let's start with one of their headline attractions, shall we? And that would be Odyssey. Now, this is an interesting attraction because it's a Vekoma SLC, suspended looping coaster. And typically these get a bad rap, right? They are notoriously not comfortable and a bit of a headbanger. Now, there are some exceptions to this. Typically they are custom layouts or some of the newer ones with the vest restraints. This is the tallest one ever made as far as I'm aware. And it definitely is a custom layout. Now, I did it a couple of times on my visit. The first time I did it, I did front row because I wanted a POV. Very intense, but reasonably enjoyable. The second time I did it, however, I went back row and did a nostril cam. I'll put a little bit in just now and you'll just see what it's like. Oh my! Oh! So yeah, it's a headbanger. Here's the weird thing though, right? Because you would assume, based on how rough it is, I'm going to go scrap it. But I'm not, because it's actually quite a unique coaster in terms of like the layout and the fact that it is the largest. So it definitely needs some work. But because of its uniqueness, I'm going to keep it. Now, towards, well, I was going to say the front of the park, but I guess it depends how you enter the park. The way we entered it from the car park that we went into, this is towards the front, so where the ticket office and Odyssey is, they have a kind of portable river rapids, known as the Wild River Rapids. I got chucked on this on my own because, you know, Carly doesn't like water rides. Weird. I mean, it got stuck for me, so on the lift hill, there's sort of like two sets of conveyor belts. I got stuck in between the two of them. So I could see the two conveyor belts moving. No, I wasn't. And it took the guy a minute or two to realise, and then he did something and got me moving again. And I had, before I went on it, saw other people stuck and staff had to climb up and give the boat a shove. So it's clearly got some issues. I didn't really get that wet, which I was kind of glad at on the day, but that's kind of the point of a rapids. You kind of want to get wet. So I'll put this one and take it or leave it. Right, the next one caught me off guard because I'd done it before and I didn't remember it very well. But I'd also got something wrong in a recent video. I did a video about ride types we do not have in the country. And one of those ride types I said was we do not have trackless dark rides. Yeah, no, it was quite quickly corrected. There are two examples, I think. One of them is here in Fantasy Island, and that is Harrington Flint's Island Adventure. Then it is a trackless dark ride shooter attraction. And it's bloody good. Like, I forgot how good it was. Like, the set pieces, the targeting system. Yes, there are screens involved in there, but it was really good. The one thing I found really strange, though, like, it took your ride photo, and so the park had gifted me access to the park. I asked for permission to film, and they said, you can have free entry, so I was very grateful for that. And I thought, well, you know, I'm trying to support parks, so I wanted to spend some money on park, and I thought, I'll buy some ride photos. And I said to the woman, where can I get the ride photos? And she went, oh, just take a picture of the screen. Now, I don't know if that means that something was wrong, it wasn't working that day, or if that's just how it works, but that seemed a little bit odd. Nonetheless, the ride itself, as I say, was pretty damn good. Way better than I remembered it the first time, and I'm going to keep it. Another attraction they've got inside the dome that seems odd, and I've heard the owner, James, saying that he wants to do some work to it, which might improve it, is the Guardian. Now, it's one of those attractions that's kind of hard to find. A lot of the things inside that kind of pyramid aren't the best signposted, so it took me a little while to get my bearings. If you've been a few times, you'll be fine. First time, you might be like, oh, where is this? But the Guardian is... So it's almost like a flying theatre. Conceptually, it's exactly the same, in that there's a domed screen and you're moving around, pointing towards bits of it. But you're kind of on this... Well, it's kind of like a cougar arm. Probably isn't actually a cougar arm, but you go in and there's a row of 4 seats and there's an over-the-shoulder restraint. Now, you don't typically get those on a flying theatre. And the reason for that is because the first thing it does is it flips you onto your back, rotates you around, and then drops you in. And then you're in this domed area. And then it does its thing. The screen quality was reasonably poor. And the other problem I had was that there was some back-in lights. Now, I don't know if the lights were inside the dome projecting or outside coming in, but there was this kind of like a blue glow in parts of the screen which really didn't help. It was a bit too blurry, so I didn't really follow the storyline very well. Like, it's an interesting concept, but if I'm honest, that's crap it. Now, I've been to the park a couple of times, and the first time I went, I was quite underwhelmed with the park in general, and yet the second time I went, I had a great time. So I don't know, I was still reasonably new to YouTube the first time I went. Maybe I just wasn't in the zone, but I didn't do the drop tower, or SNS shot tower, sorry, Volcano the first time, but I did do it on my second visit. It's a weird one. First of all, their seatbelts are far too small. Now, I'm a chap that needs to lose some weight. I'm going to be taking care of that soon, but I'm a little bit of a chubby chap, shall we say, and I struggled to get in the seat to the point that the guy managed to get me in, and I was honestly toiling to breathe, and I'm like, just hurry up and send the damn thing, because this is not comfortable. And then he moved me to another seat, which was much better. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. Anyway, so seatbelts aside, it wasn't the most forceful shot tower. Now, I'm probably spoiled now by Launchpad at Blackpool because it's recently been refurbished, as many of you know. You actually get chucked out your seat at the top now, which you never used to on that ride either. So it feels like this one is also kind of getting to the stage where it needs a refurbishment. I'll put it in take it or leave it. Right, the next one was brilliant. So, ride type you see quite a lot, especially on the travelling circuit, is a twister or sizzler. Now, I believe the only difference is the manufacturer. Conceptually, they're the same damn thing. But you've seen the rides. It's the one where you can usually get 2 or 3 guests per seat, and the person on the outside gets squashed by the other guests. Yeah, and it flings you around and stuff. Well, I went on that, and I said to Carly, but I'll sit in the seat that gets squashed. No. She volunteered to go in that seat. I thought, well, you're nuts. Why would you do that? We were giggling a lot. And it looked like the woman cranked it up a level and left it running for quite some time. It was a long cycle. So, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm going to keep it. Right, the next one is a little odd. Now, I don't think I've seen... I'm probably seen this maybe in 2 places. So it's reasonably uncommon. Might just be I've not been to the parks that they exist. But there's an attraction known as Sea Storm. And it's kind of like... with a lot of these travelling attractions... they just go round in a circle, and they've got that kind of undulating track, right? So it goes up and down as it goes around. And it's little boats that they control the direction you're facing. So you're all facing forwards to begin with, then you're all facing sideways, then some of you are facing forwards, some of you are facing backwards, and so on and so forth. An interesting little attraction. I kind of found it a little bit boring. I don't know, maybe it could have been cranked up another level, a little bit faster. I'll put it in take it or leave it. Now, the other large attraction that the park has is their other coaster known as Millennium. Now, it's a Vekoma looper. You can't miss it. It kind of is this huge thing that takes up a chunk of the park. And it's actually surprisingly good for its age. Like, modern Vekomas are amazing, right? They are some of the best, very comfortable, excellent, glassy smooth. This is older generation, which kind of had a reputation for being a bit rattly, but this one actually isn't. This is pretty good, and it's probably more intimidating off-ride than it is on-ride. It's got a couple of inversions in it, but it is very smooth. I think, as I say, when I went on it, there was a young kid who got on it and then changed his mind and got off because he got intimidated by it. I get that for the younger audience. It looks quite big, but it isn't as bad as it looks. It's one of those attractions that's very visually dominating, but actually quite enjoyable and smooth. I'd keep it. On the other hand, though, one of their flat rides, I think, was on the Fritz the day I was there. Like, it was down for a bit, and then it came back, kind of, and I got on it. So it's their Techno Jump. You know what? I think I usually refer to them as, like, the Crazy Frog. Excuse me, sort of bouncy ride thing. It was definitely running in a manual cycle, but the problem I had with it was, for a large portion of the ride, the guy had all the arms up. And then every now and then he just sort of dropped them so they bounced. And then he lifted you back up and held you up there. Like, it felt like maybe it was struggling and it needed time to kind of power up before it could... I don't know. I've never had a cycle like that. I wasn't impressed with it. As I say, I had some downtime, so kind of feels like it's on its last legs. That's scrap it. Now, another water ride that they have is their log flume, and I mean, it's reasonably basic. It's not the most kind of lengthy route. Pretty sure it's only got one lift and one drop. Could do with the sort of Valhalla Hoover to kind of get the water out of the boats, because the one I was in was quite wet, and I was struggling to keep my feet dry before I'd even got anywhere near that lift hill. Nonetheless, though, it was quite a lot of fun on that drop, so it's not the longest log flume out there, but I enjoyed it and I'll keep it. Now, there are a number of junior attractions, some of which I didn't go on for the usual obvious reasons, but there's others that I went on anyway because, well, I'm a big kid, the place was quiet. So one of them is Jungle Adventure. Now, this is typically a horse ride. Like, it's the one where it's a tracked attraction, and I think more often than not it's outdoors. I don't think I've seen it indoors before, and I think this one was outdoors, looking at the history of it, but it is now inside the pyramid. So it's usually horses, goes around a track, and it kind of bounces up and down as it goes. Theirs is themed to zebras, and there's some safari-esque attraction, like theming on the way around. I think I went around it twice when I was on it. Again, just kind of POV because it was quiet. Why not? It's an odd little thing though. I mean, it's not aimed at me. Take it or leave it. One other attraction inside that pyramid is that it's kind of like a monorail type thing. You're in a boat it's Toucan Tours, and like you've got an area that's, as I say, kind of like a monorail going around the pyramid. Next to, they've got one of those suspended climbing things, you know, where you kind of put the harness on and you can walk across beams and stuff, which I didn't do. So you go past that, and then you go indoors, and there's some theming. And I think from what I've seen, there's supposed to be like a mummy or a skeleton or something at the end that comes out and talks to you. He didn't, so I don't know if was broken the day I was there. It has been broken a while, I'm not quite sure. But it's a reasonably good attraction. It's one of those kind of family attractions. It's not intense by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a nice way to kind of see around the pyramid and general ride for the family, so I'm going to keep it. This next one, if you've done it, you'll be able to hear it as soon as I mention its name, and that is the Seaquarium. So it's got a rather catchy little ditty that it plays the whole way around. Sorry for putting that little clip in there and getting it stuck in your head too. And then at the very end, so you're kind of going through this, so you're in little boats. The first time I did it, I was on my own, which meant it was lopsided. Did it this time with Carly, but of course you're spinning, so POV was interesting. So you've got all these, it's reasonably well themed. Like, there's quite a lot of kind of theming and animatronics stuff, which is pretty cool. Then you get to the end, and then there's all these fish just going, bye, 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 bye. It's very annoying. It's a great little ride, though. It is a good little ride. It's very well themed. The younger audience will absolutely love it. It's just got a bloody annoying soundtrack, but I'm going to keep it anyway. Right, another credit is Snowdrift. Now, I think this has only been there for a year or two, although I saw an older map that it seemed to be there, so I don't know if this is a travelling attraction that sometimes is at the park, sometimes is out on the travelling circuit, then it comes back, etc. But I'm pretty sure it was reasonably new on my visit in terms of just back. It's a spinning wild mouse. It was good fun. I went on it on my own, but I still managed to get a reasonable amount of spinning on it. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Not much to say, but I'm going to keep it. Now, the last coaster that they've got, I can't actually find it on the website, so I'm not sure what it's called, but it's basically the obligatory Wacky Worm. And here's the thing. You know me, and I always, well, I'll do it myself just for the credit, but I will typically keep them for the younger audience. That's my mantra. I say it in every one of these review videos. However, this park has a smaller attraction known as Jellykins, which no grown-ass man is going to fit in, so I didn't. But inside that kind of pyramid section, they have this other coaster, and it is very much aimed at the younger audience because only kids will fit in it. So I'm kind of torn on this one because, well, I can't review that ride clearly because I didn't do it. But because they've got an even more junior coaster than the Caterpillar or the Wacky Worm, I'm kind of like, where do I put this? Because normally I'll keep it because of that reason, but they've got something else instead. So I think I'll put this one in take it or leave it. The last credit in the park, well, depends on who you speak to, because it's a powered coaster, which for some is not a credit, but if I see a tick box in coaster count, I'm going to tick it, is the Rhombus Express. It's weird. I mean, it's a powered coaster, so there's that. There's parts of it where it kind of goes a little bit slower, and there's parts of it where it absolutely flies around the course. The reason that I'm kind of hesitant here is that when it leaves the station, there's like, so like we did front row so I could get POV. There's some weird banking, like the front bit of the train is like at an angle in the station. So you're sitting there waiting, and then there's some other weird profiling around it and stuff. There's also this really, really annoying message that plays in the station, and I really feel sorry for the staff, because, and I don't know if it's health and safety or if it's meant to be a play on the kind of London Tube type thing, but it's like, please mind the gap when exiting to the left, or whatever. I can't even remember now, but it just goes on and on and on and on, and I'm like, okay, can we either dispatch this train or turn that off, because it's getting really annoying. And I was only in there for like a minute waiting on the ride to leave. As I said, I really feel sorry for the ride ops who are in there all day long listening to that on loop. Nonetheless, the ride itself is okay. I'll keep it. Right, so there's my rundown of the rides in the park. Now, there are more rides than I've just mentioned. There are lots of junior rides that I did not touch. They've also got a kind of water slide thing indoor, which somebody said to me it's been down for a while. It was closed the day I was there. It was running when I went a few years ago, so I don't know how long it's been down, if it was just temporary. So I didn't go on that. But yeah, the second time I went to the park, I had a really, really good day. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. Pretty good selection of rides. So I'd love to know your thoughts on the park, and indeed what you agree with in terms of the ride lineup. If you've enjoyed this one, make sure you hit that like button and do subscribe. I've been Chris, you've been watching Coaster Dad, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios. At first glance, Fantasy Island looks like your typical seaside amusement park. At first glance, has dark rides, and it also has something else. So is this something? Right, so there's my review of Fantasy Island. No, it's not, because I've missed one. What was that called? Snowdrift.